Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to all the witnesses here today. We do appreciate your testimony. I would like to highlight the importance of aviation manufacturing in my 2nd Congressional District in Minnesota. In 2014, as has been said here before, aviation manufacturing produced nearly $150 billion in total output. $30 billion of that came from general aviation purchases, produces 5,000 jobs in my great state of Minnesota. In fact, I recently had the pleasure to meet with the president of one of the general aviation manufacturers in my district. After touring this facility, I was able to see firsthand how manufacturing creates such a positive impact in my community, in my district, and across the state of Minnesota. I also saw how aviation innovation and supplemental type certification modifications, I should say, help increase the safety for our pilots, passengers, but we need to sustain economic growth and industry growth alongside that. So I asked this particular fellow to send me some advice, some real input. So I received this letter from Whip Air. They make floats. They're the largest manufacturer of floats, and in Minnesota you've got as many planes with floats as you do wheels. And they brought to light in this letter, which I'd like to submit, Mr. Chairman, to the committee, they brought to light some of the concerns the industry has when it comes to continuing to innovate, improve, introduce new technologies, and maintaining aircraft. Progress has been made, as we've detailed, to create a more efficient and effective certification program, but we need to do more. We need to do more to advance compliance and safety standard reviews. The FAA and this body need to provide our manufacturers with increased ability to sell products and services overseas. As the preeminent nation for aviation with a great track record at the FAA, our FAA-certified components and aircraft should be accepted in the global market. We set a global standard of safety, and therefore the U.S.-made and certified products should be easily available outside the U.S. As I say, Mr. Chairman, I ask that this letter be submitted for the record. Let me start with a question for Ms. Gilligan, and thank you for your service over the years. And this is a little bit outside some of the scope here, but it's certainly starting to become an issue, and that is what sort of challenges for the FAA can you see in the future as we start to see so many more unmanned aircraft, drones as everybody calls them? How does that affect FAA's mission for safety, for certification in some cases, just going forward? I mean, has the agency looked at that and has anticipated a plan? There's been some things done already.
Yes, sir. We are well aware of the challenges that we face with the increase in unmanned systems, or drones as you've referred to them. A year and a half ago, we created a registration requirement so we could begin to know who's operating and in some cases how many aircraft they're operating, and more importantly to use that as a tool to educate this new community, because many folks who are purchasing these, especially for personal use, are not aviators by background or training. And we used to laugh that they didn't know they were violating the national airspace system because they didn't know there was a national airspace system. And so we've got...
Let alone the privacy in my backyard. Yeah, right.
There are those issues as well. So we're well along. We've also issued an operating rule that allows for operation of aircraft under 55 pounds. Within visual line of sight, and with some other restrictions. We've also put in place in those rules the ability to provide waivers if an operator can demonstrate that they can mitigate risk of going beyond visual line of sight, for example, or operating at night with technologies.
Have you incorporated a growth factor in all of this? I mean, this is becoming much more frequent in every neighborhood.
Yes, we believe that the rules that we've put in place are flexible enough to address the growing demand. Again, the rules right now, though, are up to 55 pounds. For larger aircraft right now, those are going through certification, and Ms. Baker can comment on how many projects we have to actually certify meeting our full set of standards, these larger aircraft that will be used for larger missions. Dorinda?
We've only got about 20 seconds, so.
Okay, just we've assigned that to our Los Angeles ACO, and currently they have 12 different projects working on a certification of unmanned aircraft.
My time is just about up, but I'd like to revisit this, as it seems to be certainly a growth industry. I thank you all very much for coming today, and I yield back.